The ship came at night, just like it always did. It was massive, bigger than any aircraft humans had ever built. It moved without sound through the clouds above the Pacific Ocean. The few fishing boats that spotted it thought they were seeing things. The radar stations that detected it assumed their equipment was broken. By morning, the ship was gone. Everyone forgot about it, but the ocean remembered. Yuna was 32 years old when she first noticed something was wrong. She worked as a marine biologist on a research vessel, spending her days studying fish and coral reefs. She loved the ocean more than anything in the world. It was her home, her passion, her life. That morning, she dove into the water near a reef she had visited many times before. The coral should have been bright and colorful. Instead, it was gray, dead. The fish floating nearby had strange growths on their bodies. Tumors that glowed faintly in the dim light. Yuna took samples and returned to the surface. Her hands were shaking. "This is not natural," she said to herself. "This is not possible." She spent the next 3 months collecting more samples from different locations. Every place she visited showed the same signs. Something was killing the ocean, and it was spreading fast. Yuna wrote reports and sent them to every government agency she could find. Most of them ignored her. Some told her she was overreacting. One told her to stop wasting their time. But one person listened. Doyan was a government researcher who worked in a small office in Seoul. His job was to track unusual environmental events. Most days he read boring reports about pollution levels and weather patterns. But when Yuna's report landed on his desk, he sat up straight. He had seen similar reports from other scientists. A farmer in Brazil whose crops had turned silver. A doctor in Russia whose patients developed strange new organs. A geologist in Australia who found rocks that should not exist on Earth. Doyan picked up his phone and called Yuna. "I believe you," he said, "and I think I know what is happening." They met in person 2 weeks later. Doyan showed her everything he had collected. Photos of contaminated lakes. Medical records of people who should be dead but were somehow alive. Chemical analysis of substances that did not match anything in human science. "These molecules are not from Earth," Doyan said quietly. "Someone is dumping poison on our planet, and they have been doing it for a very long time." Yuna stared at the evidence. Her mind refused to accept it at first. Aliens were the stuff of movies and children's stories. They were not real. They could not be real. But the proof was right in front of her. "Why would they do this?" she asked. "Why would anyone poison an entire planet?" Doyan shook his head. "Maybe they do not know we are here. Maybe they think Earth is empty. To them, we might just be a convenient garbage dump." The thought made Yuna sick. All her life, she had worried about human pollution destroying the ocean. Now she learned that something far worse had been happening for decades. Aliens were treating her home like a trash can. "We have to tell people," she said. "We have to warn everyone." "We will," Doyan replied. "But first, we need to understand what we are dealing with. If we panic without a plan, it will only make things worse." Over the next year, they worked together in secret. They reached out to other scientists who had noticed strange things. They found allies in governments around the world. Slowly, carefully, they built a network of people who knew the truth. The aliens kept coming. Every few weeks, another ship would descend through the atmosphere. Sometimes they dumped their waste in the ocean. Sometimes they chose remote mountains or empty deserts. They never tried to hide. They simply did not care. Yuna watched the dumping sites spread across her maps, red dots marking places where alien poison had touched the Earth. There were hundreds of them now. Soon, there would be thousands. "How are people surviving this?" she asked during one late-night meeting. "These chemicals should kill everything they touch," a doctor named Yoonji answered her. She had been studying the medical effects of the contamination for months. "That is the strange part," Yoonji said. "Some people are dying, yes, but many others are not. Their bodies are changing, adapting. I have patients who can breathe air that would kill a normal person. Children who are immune to poisons that should destroy their organs. That is impossible," someone said. "I thought so too," Yoonji replied. "But human biology is strange. We have so much unused code in our DNA. junk sequences that scientists thought were meaningless. It turns out they are not meaningless at all. They are like backup systems, waiting to activate when we need them. Doyon leaned forward. Are you saying the alien poison is making us stronger? Yonji hesitated. I am saying we are not dying as fast as we should. And some of us are becoming something new. The room fell silent. Everyone was thinking the same thing, but nobody wanted to say it. Finally, a military general named Sunjo spoke. He was an old man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had fought in wars and seen terrible things, but nothing had prepared him for this. If humanity is adapting to their poison, he said slowly, then we have a choice. We can try to stop the dumping and hope we survive. Or we can let them continue and see how strong we become. That is insane, Yuna said. You want to let them keep poisoning us? I want to survive, Sungho replied. And right now, we have no weapons, no ships, and no way to fight back. But if what Yongji says is true, then every drop of poison they dump on us is making us harder to kill. Maybe that is the weapon we need. Nobody agreed with him that night, but nobody disagreed either. The dumping continued, and humanity began to change. 5 years passed, and the world was not the same. The alien ships came more often now. Once a month became once a week. They dropped their poison everywhere. Lakes turned strange colors. Forests grew in ways that made no sense. The sky above some cities had a faint purple glow at night. Governments told their people it was climate change, pollution from factories, natural disasters. Most people believed them. They had no reason to think otherwise, but those who knew the truth watched and waited. Jiho was a soldier. He had joined the army when he was young because he wanted to protect his country. Now, he led a special unit that nobody talked about. Their job was to contain the contamination zones, to keep people away from the worst areas, to study what the alien poison was doing to the earth. He stood at the edge of a dead lake in the mountains. The water was silver, thick like syrup. Nothing should live there. But fish swam beneath the surface. Big fish, healthy fish. Fish that had adapted to water that would dissolve normal flesh. This is wrong, Jiho said to his team. Everything about this is wrong. Second in command, a woman named Boyang, walked up beside him. She had been with him since the beginning. She had seen things that would give most people nightmares. The farmers on the other side of the mountain, she said. Have you heard about them? Jiho shook his head. Their crops are growing twice as fast as normal. Vegetables the size of your head. Fruit that tastes better than anything anyone has ever eaten. The soil is full of alien chemicals. It should be killing everything. Instead, the plants are thriving. Jiho did not know what to say. He had spent 5 years watching the contamination spread. He had expected to see death and destruction. Instead, he was seeing something else, something that scared him more. Life was adapting, and it was getting stronger in soul. A geneticist named Sujin was making the same discovery. She worked in a secret laboratory, funded by the global coalition that Doyen had helped create. Her job was to understand what was happening to human DNA, why some people were dying from the alien poison, while others were becoming immune. The answer came to her at 3 in the morning. After months of sleepless nights, junk DNA, she whispered, staring at her computer screen. It was never junk. Human DNA was messy. Scientists had always known that. Most of it seemed useless. Random sequences that did nothing. Other species had evolved to remove this clutter, keeping only the code they needed. But humans had kept it all. Every mistake, every random mutation, every piece of genetic garbage from millions of years of evolution, and now, that garbage was saving them. The alien poison was activating. Dormant sequences in human DNA, code that had been sleeping for thousands of years, was waking up. It was rewriting itself, adapting to the new chemicals. It's finding ways to survive. Sujin called an emergency meeting of the Global Council. Leaders from every major country attended through secure video links. She showed them her research. The data. The proof. We should be extinct, she told them. Any other species exposed to these toxins would be dead within a generation. But humans are different. Our DNA is chaos. And chaos is exactly what we need right now. A leader from Europe spoke up. What does this mean for our people? Are we becoming something inhuman? We are becoming something new, Sujin replied. Children born in contaminated areas have abilities their parents do not have. Better immune systems. Faster healing. Some of them can see in the dark. Some of them can hold their breath for 20 minutes. The room fell silent. We are evolving, Sujin continued. Faster than any species in history. The aliens are trying to kill us, and instead, they are making us stronger. General Sungho, now 5 years older and even more tired, spoke next. I said this 5 years ago. Every drop of poison they dump on us is a gift. We just need to learn how to use it. Not everyone agreed. Some leaders wanted to find a way to stop the dumping. To contact the aliens and beg them to leave Earth alone. To reveal the truth to the public and hope for the best. But Sungho had a different plan. We stay quiet, he said. We let them think Earth is dead. We keep adapting, keep getting stronger. And when we are ready, we show them what they created. The vote was close. But in the end, the council agreed. The dumping continued. Humanity kept changing. In the contaminated zones, children were born who could breathe toxic air like it was nothing. Soldiers developed skin that could resist acid. Factory workers exposed to alien metals found their bones becoming harder, their muscles becoming stronger. Jiho visited a school near one of the worst dump sites. The children there should have been sick, dying instead. They were playing in fields that glowed faintly green. A little girl ran up to him. Her name was Haeon. She was 7 years old, and she had lived her entire life surrounded by alien poison. Are you a soldier? She asked. Yes, Jiho replied. My mom says soldiers keep us safe. Heinz smiled. But I do not think we need protecting. We are strong now. Stronger than anyone. She held out her hand. In her palm was a small rock from the contaminated field. It was hot to the touch, slightly radioactive. Jiho knew it should be burning her skin. But Haeon held it like it was nothing. Like it was just a pretty stone she had found. See, she said. It does not hurt. Jiho looked at the little girl and saw the future of humanity. A future built on poison. A future that scared him and amazed him in equal measure. The aliens had tried to kill them. Instead, they had created something new, something dangerous, something that would one day make them regret ever coming to Earth. The alien ship was different this time. It was not a cargo vessel. It was smaller, sleeker, and it landed instead of dropping its load and leaving. It came down in an empty field in Mongolia, far from any city. The ground shook when it touched the earth. Birds flew away in terror. Animals ran for the hills, but humans did not run. They had been waiting for this moment. For 10 years, Taeyeon had been a diplomat once. He worked for the United Nations, traveling the world to solve problems between countries. But when he learned the truth about the aliens, his job changed. He became the leader of Earth's first contact team. The man who would speak to the beings that had been poisoning his planet. He stood in that field with 20 others, scientists, soldiers, translators who had spent years learning to decode the alien language from intercepted signals. They wore no protective suits, no masks, no breathing equipment. The air around them was thick with toxic fog. The dump site was only a few miles away. Anyone who breathed this air should be coughing, choking, dying. But they stood tall and breathed deep. The alien ship opened. A ramp extended to the ground, and the Veleth emerged. They were tall creatures. Thin bodies, covered in gray skin. 4 arms. 2 legs. Heads shaped like triangles with 6 small eyes. They wore heavy environmental suits, completely sealed against the outside air. Machines on their backs filtered every breath. Their leader stepped forward. A translator device on its chest crackled to life. This planet was classified as dead, the alien said. Its voice was cold, mechanical. No intelligent life detected. Why are you here? Taeyeon smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "We have always been here," he said. "You just never bothered to look." The aliens looked at each other. Their 6 eyes blinked in confusion. One of them held up a scanning device and pointed it at Taeyon, then at the others. Then at the air itself. "Impossible," the alien said. "The atmosphere is saturated with lethal compounds. Your species cannot survive in these conditions." "And yet here we stand," Taeyon replied, "breathing the air you poisoned, walking on the ground you contaminated, living in the world you tried to destroy." The alien leader took a step back. For the first time, there was something like fear in its movements. "How?" it demanded. "Our waste products are fatal to carbon-based life forms. Every species in the galaxy would die from exposure. How are you alive?" Taeyon took a deep breath of the toxic air. He let it fill his lungs. He felt the alien chemicals enter his bloodstream. His body adapted to them instantly, just like it had been doing for years. "You kept feeding us," he said simply. "For decades, you dumped your poison on our world. You thought you were killing us? Instead, you were making us stronger. Every toxin, every chemical, every piece of radioactive waste, we absorbed it all. We changed. We evolved." The scanning device in the alien's hand began to beep rapidly. Warning lights flashed on its suit. "The readings are impossible," another alien said. "Their biology is rewriting itself in real time. They are adapting to compounds they have never encountered before."
We are human,"
Taeyon said. "We adapt to everything. That is what we do. That is what we have always done." The alien leader raised one of its 4 hands. Behind it, weapons emerged from the ship. Guns that glowed with strange energy. A threat, clear and obvious. "You are a contamination," the alien said. "An unexpected variable. You will be eliminated." Taeyon did not flinch. He had expected this. "Before you do anything foolish," he said calmly, "you should know something. Right now, there are satellites watching this location. Military bases on 6 continents are tracking your ship, and every single one of them has weapons pointed at you." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your primitive weapons cannot harm us." "You are right," Taeyon agreed. "Our old weapons were useless, but our new ones are different." He pulled a small device from his pocket, a communicator. He pressed a button, and a voice came through clearly. "This is General Suongho. On your command," Taeyon looked at the alien leader. "Our weapons are made from your waste, powered by your radiation, built with materials you gave us. Every bomb, every bullet, every missile, all of it came from you." The alien scanning device beeped again. This time, the warnings were everywhere. The ship detected human weapon systems activating across the planet. Energy signatures that matched Velith technology. Radiation patterns that should not exist outside their own empire. "You used our own materials," the alien said slowly. Understanding dawned in its 6 eyes. "You built weapons from our garbage." "We built everything from your garbage," Taeyon replied. "Ships, power plants, medicine. You threw away things that could destroy worlds. We picked them up and learned how to use them." The alien leader stood very still. Its 4 arms hung at its sides. The weapons behind it lowered slowly. "What do you want?" it asked finally. "We want you to leave," Taeyon said. "Go back to your empire. Tell them what you found here. Tell them that the dead rock was not dead. Tell them that you created something you cannot control." The aliens retreated into their ship. The ramp closed. The engines roared to life, and the vessel rose into the sky. Within minutes it was gone. Taeyon watched it disappear. Around him, his team was cheering, hugging each other, crying with relief, but Taeyon did not celebrate. He knew this was not the end. It was only the beginning. The aliens would return. And when they did, they would not come to talk. They would come to destroy. He pressed his communicator again. "Begin full mobilization. The Velith know we exist now. War is coming. Across the planet, humanity prepared for battle." The Velith did not wait long. 3 months after first contact, their war fleet entered the solar system. 40 massive warships, bristling with weapons that had destroyed entire civilizations. They had conquered 1,000 worlds. They had never lost a war. They expected this to be easy. General Hannah stood in the command center of Earth's defense station. She was 53 years old, and she had spent the last decade preparing for this moment. Her hair was gray now. Her face was lined with worry, but her eyes were sharp, and her voice was steady. "How many ships do we have?" she asked. 27 combat vessels," her aide replied. "Plus 42 support craft. All systems are ready. 27 ships against 40. The numbers were not good. But Hannah had learned long ago that numbers did not always decide battles. "Launch all fighters," she commanded. "Tell our pilots what we are fighting for." Across Earth's orbit, human ships powered up their engines. They were strange vessels, built from scavenged alien technology and human creativity. Their hulls were made from radioactive metals that the Velith had thrown away. Their reactors burned fuel that would kill any other species. Their weapons fired, ammunition forged from toxic waste. Lieutenant Minho climbed into his fighter and sealed the cockpit. He was 28 years old. He had grown up in a fishing village near one of the worst contamination sites. As a child, he had swum in water that glowed at night. He had eaten fish that contained enough poison to kill 100 normal humans. It had not killed him. It had made him faster, stronger. His reflexes were sharper than any unmodified human. His eyes could see in spectrums that others could not. His body could withstand forces that would crush ordinary bones. Light. All wings. "Report in." Hannah's voice came through his headset. "Wing 1. Ready? Wing 2. Ready. Wing 3. Ready?" Minho pressed his own communicator. "Wing 4 ready. Let us show them what we can do." The Velith fleet approached Earth with confidence. Their admiral watched the human ships gathering to meet them and felt something like amusement. The primitive species had built themselves some toys. It would almost be entertaining to destroy them. "Okay. Open fire," the admiral commanded. "Eliminate the defenders. Then burn the planet." Velith weapons blazed across the void. Beams of energy that could cut through starship armor like paper. Missiles that carried enough destructive power to level cities. A wave of death heading straight for the human fleet. But the human ships did not die. They moved. Faster than anything the Velith had ever seen. The pilots inside them pulled maneuvers that should have killed them. Turns that would have turned Velith soldiers into paste against their cockpit walls. Accelerations that should have stopped hearts and burst blood vessels. Misho felt the G-forces crushing him into his seat. His vision blurred. His bones creaked. But he did not slow down. His body had been built for this. Adapted for exactly this moment, he dove through the Velith formation, his weapons firing. His shots found their targets. One enemy fighter exploded. Then another. Then 3 more. "They are too fast," a Velith pilot screamed over their communications. "Their ships should not move like that. Their bodies should not survive these conditions." The admiral watched in disbelief as his fighters fell one by one. The humans were not supposed to be this good. They were primitive, weak, a species that had barely reached their own moon. "Launch chemical weapons," he ordered. "Flood the battlefield with toxins." It was the Velith's ultimate weapon, a gas that could kill any carbon-based life form. They had used it to end wars before, wiping out entire species in minutes. No one had ever survived it. The gas spread through space. Great clouds of poison expanding toward the human ships. The Velith admiral smiled. Finally, this nonsense would end. Then the human ships flew straight into the cloud. They did not slow down. They did not try to escape. They dove into the poison like it was nothing, and they kept fighting. Minho breathed deep as the toxins entered his cockpit. His filtration system had failed minutes ago. He was breathing pure Velith chemical weapon. It tasted like copper. Like metal. "Like home, is that the best you have?" he said into his communicator. "We breathe worse than this every day." The Velith fleet began to panic. Their ultimate weapon had failed. Their fighters were being destroyed. Their warships were taking damage from human missiles that should not have been powerful enough to scratch their armor. "General?" Hannah watched the battle from her command center. The numbers were still against them, but they were winning. Every Velith ship they destroyed was a victory. Every human pilot who survived was proof that their adaptation had worked. "All ships, focus fire on the flagship," she ordered. "Cut off the head, and the body will fall." Minho led his wing toward the massive Velith command ship. It was the size of a small city, bristling with weapons. It's protected by shields that had never been breached, but human weapons were not ordinary weapons. They were made from the same materials as the shields, the same radiation, the same compounds. "Fire everything," Minho commanded. His missiles struck the flagship's shields. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the shields flickered, weakened, failed. The human fleet poured fire into the exposed vessel. Explosions tore through its hull. Its engines died. Its weapons went silent. The Velith admiral stared at his screens in horror. His ship was dying. His fleet was retreating. And the humans were still coming. "This is impossible," he whispered. "They were supposed to be dead. They were supposed to be nothing." General Hannah's voice came through on all frequencies. A message broadcast to every Velith ship in the system.
No.
"You came to our world and poisoned it. You thought we would die? You were wrong. We do not die. We adapt. We survive. We overcome. And now we are going to show you what happens when you make an enemy of humanity." The surviving Velith ships fled. 12 of their 40 warships escaped. The rest were debris floating in the void. Hannah watched them go. She did not smile. She did not celebrate. She simply pressed her communicator one more time. "Send a message to their empire. Tell them what happened here. Tell them what we are. And tell them that if they ever return, we will be ready." The war was over. But humanity's story was just beginning. Word spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The Velith, Dominion, conquerors of 1,000 worlds had been defeated. Not by a great empire. Not by an ancient civilization with powerful technology. They had been beaten by a species that should not have existed. A species that lived on a planet they had been using as a garbage dump for decades. A species that ate poison and grew stronger. Within months, every civilization in the known galaxy had heard the story. The humans of Earth. The creatures that adapted. The monsters that breathed toxins and smiled. Some called them terrifying. Some called them impossible. But everyone agreed on one thing. They were dangerous. President Nari stood at the podium in the Great Assembly Hall. Behind her, the flags of every nation on Earth hung side by side. Before her, representatives from 200 countries watched and waited. And above them all, cameras broadcast her words to billions of people. For 10,000 years, she began, humanity has faced challenges that should have destroyed us. Ice ages, plagues, wars, disasters. Every time we survived. Every time we came back stronger. And now, we face the greatest challenge of all. We are no longer alone in the universe. The crowd was silent. Everyone knew what had happened. The secret had been revealed after the battle. The governments of the world had told their people the truth about the aliens, about the dumping, about everything. Some had panicked at first. But panic turned to pride. They had won. Against impossible odds, against enemies with better technology and more resources, humanity had won. "The Velith thought we were weak," Nari continued. "They thought we were primitive. They looked at our planet and saw nothing worth protecting. So they dumped their poison here year after year, never knowing that we existed. Never knowing that every drop of waste they left behind was making us stronger." She paused. The cameras captured the steel in her eyes. They know now. The entire galaxy knows, and they are afraid. In the crowd, Una sat with tears in her eyes. She was 57 years old now. The young marine biologist who had first noticed the dying coral reefs had become one of the most important scientists on Earth. She had helped humanity understand what was happening to them. She had watched her species transform. Beside her sat Doyen, older now, but still sharp. The researcher who had believed her when no one else would. Together, they had started something that changed the world. "We did this," she whispered to him. "We really did this." "No," Doyon replied softly. "Humanity did this. We just helped them see it." President Nari continued her speech. She talked about the future, about the ships being built in orbit, about the new technologies being developed from alien waste, about the children being born with abilities that would have seemed like magic just a generation ago. "We are going out there," she said, pointing toward the sky. "Not as conquerors, not as destroyers, but as survivors, as adapters. We will show the galaxy what humanity is capable of, and we will never let anyone treat us as garbage again." The crowd erupted in cheers. Later that day, a reporter found an old man sitting alone in a park near the assembly hall. His name was Wubin. He was 93 years old, one of the oldest survivors of the first contamination waves. His body had been changed more than most. His skin had a faint gray tint. His eyes reflected light like a cat's. He had lived through things that would have killed anyone from an earlier generation. The reporter sat down beside him and asked the question everyone wanted answered. "What do you want the galaxy to know about humanity?" Wubin thought for a long moment. He looked up at the sky, where the first stars were becoming visible in the evening light. Somewhere out there, alien civilizations were watching, waiting, wondering what Earth would do next. "Other species see poison and run," he said finally. "They see danger, and they flee. They find something that hurts them, and they avoid it forever." He smiled, showing teeth that were slightly too sharp. "Humans are different. We see poison, and we ask, how do I make this useful? We find something that hurts us, and we figure out how to live with it. That has always been our way. The aliens just reminded us." The reporter wrote down every word. 1 year later, Earth's first diplomatic vessel departed for the Galactic Core. It was called the Inheritance, and it was the most advanced ship humanity had ever built. Its hull was forged from radioactive waste that the Velith had dumped in the Pacific Ocean. Its engines burned fuel, refined from toxic sludge that had poisoned lakes. Across 6 continents, its crew breathed recycled air mixed with chemicals that would kill any other species in seconds. Captain Jiho stood on the bridge as the ship left Earth's orbit. He was older now, gray-haired and tired, but he had asked for this command and they had given it to him. He wanted to be the first to show the galaxy what humanity had become. Beside him stood Heian, the little girl he had met years ago at the contaminated school. She was not little anymore. She was a young woman now, a lieutenant in Earth's new space navy. She could breathe almost any atmosphere. She could survive temperatures that would freeze or boil normal humans. Her body was a weapon that the Velith had accidentally created. "Are you ready?" Jiho asked her. Heian looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, species were afraid of them. Empires that had conquered worlds were wondering if humanity would come for them next. "I was born ready," she said. They made sure of that. On the side of the ship, painted in 100 different alien languages, was humanity's new motto. The words that would announce their presence to every civilization they encountered. We adapt. We overcome. We inherit. The inheritance jumped to faster than light speed, disappearing into the darkness between stars. Behind it, Earth continued to spin. A world that had been used as a garbage dump. A world that had transformed its poison into power. A world that had shown the galaxy what it meant to be human in laboratories. Scientists continued to study the changes in human DNA. In training facilities, soldiers learned to use their new abilities. In schools, children grew up stronger and stranger than their parents could have imagined. And in the heavens above, humanity spread out among the stars. Not as victims, not as prey, but as the species that had turned their would-be destroyers' weapons into their greatest strength. The aliens had tried to kill them with garbage. They had created something extraordinary instead.